So this is roundtable working meeting. We're not taking any votes, no public testimony. It's literally us just having a working meeting since we have to be able to meet in public, and that's fine. So I want to talk about our alcohol rules and regs. So I've been here now a year. It's my opinion that the Blue Book needs updating and modification. I think there are typos in it. It's not gender neutral. There are sections in here that, in my opinion, don't make any sense. And I just think it's time to update it. So really I'm looking at what we want to do in terms of for a process to do it. We have the electronic version of this. I think we obviously will have to schedule a separate hearing to vote on it, whether or not we want to make the changes, make any changes to it. But I really want to talk about what that process would look like. So I think we'd have to schedule one separate hearing initially to vote and decide whether or not we want to amend the rules. And I think we should hold that separate and apart from our regular general meeting. I'm thinking maybe a meeting day of the week doesn't really matter to me, but something that doesn't interfere with current licensees' schedule. Just thinking that lunchtime and dinner rush, so as like a 6 p.m. meeting wouldn't necessarily work. So thinking maybe about like a 2 o'clock meeting or a 2:30 meeting
or a 10 o'clock meeting or something like that.
Right.
And I can tell you in the past what we've done when we've made amendments to the rules, not the whole thing, but just adding pieces. We've had task forces made up of licensees, business association, and I think that was really pretty much it, because those are the ones that have the most.
So I think we need to schedule the first meeting, though, just to decide whether or not we do want to amend the rules. So we can come up with a date afterwards. We can just circulate out a few dates that may or may not work. Dates and times and see what works for everyone's calendar.
So you're going to look at some of the areas to bring forward that you think need to be addressed for us to look at?
We can do that. We can do. So that was the other thing I wanted to talk about this morning, was just in terms of how do we want to approach it? Do we want to put out the electronic version that's out there, red line changes, and then put it out for public input? So what I was thinking was schedule, I don't know, anywhere from say 1 to 3 different hearings to allow people to come in and either give testimony, give written comments. Other people may have changes they want to suggest that maybe fresh eyes to look at is something we wouldn't necessarily pick up on.
The point would be is that you would turn around the electronic, you would highlight some of the areas that you believe that we need to look at.
Yes.
So first everyone would know.
Yes. So it's just really a question of how.
That's actually step 2, though. That's after we decide whether the changes are needed.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And then just trying to figure out what we want that process to look like. And I know recently, and I'll use the example only because it's probably my most recent one, is Department of Transportation recently put forth some changes to their regs. It was the RMV. And they put out a red line version with with the changes that they had proposed, and then told people you can come in for the hearing and give public comment, or you can submit something in writing. To me, the problem with that was what they were proposing in terms of changes didn't really allow people to input ahead of time. Do you know what I mean? Before they made those red line changes. I think I'd like to input ahead of time. Again, when I read through this, I think there are things that I may want to change, but there may be things that licensees say this is just ridiculous, or anybody else may look through and say, well, you know, have you thought about looking at it this way? So I want to be able to give people the time to give some input. To me, I think written comment is better if it pertains to a particular section. I'm just interested in getting feedback from other people. Again, I think think after a while you start looking at it, it's nice to have a fresh set of eyes to kind of look through and say, this
What was
doesn't
the
make any
revision on
sense.
that? Was it 2000 or 19?
2008, I think it is.
Reprinted 2008.
What was the last substantive changes, though? It wasn't,
That was an amendment to the CAT policy,
okay.
which really came out of a request by the city council to kind of lighten it up a little bit. And I think Denise and John were both on the committee. I can't remember who else.
Mrs. Gifford.
Oh, that's right.
Carrie Colson.
Carrie, yeah,
If I'm not mistaken, Patrick Lee was involved.
I think so too. Yeah, now that you say that.
There were a few other people from the community.
So I mean, I guess the question is, do we want to look at it in terms of setting up a task force to look at it? Do we want to just take a first gander at going through it and then figuring out, or? And again, I'm just throwing out ideas and suggestions.
I would suggest that as the chief said, highlight the areas of where you think it has to be really looked at, and then let the three board members go through it first.
That's what I was thinking might be the better way, because I think, just from us sitting and talking, that we've come up with areas that, just because of revisions and amendments, that things aren't all that clear anymore, and that, like it's a little muddy. So I think if we go through and see what we think are problem areas and redline that, and then start
Start
the
there.
discussion.
And then start the discussion, but I just want to make sure that we do get the public input.
And I agree with you, I think written comments are, just for drafting purposes, are much easier than public comment, verbal, because you always lose something in the note-taking.
And I think just to continue, perhaps with being transparent, is whatever, if we decide that this is the route that we want to go, just whatever areas we want to look at, I want to be able to post that on the website. Just so kind of the process is laid out, so people understand what we're doing and how. And then we do have the last electronic version.
Yes, I found it.
How many copies do we have left in the Blue Book? If I remember correctly, there are like. Okay. So perhaps even making those available too, if people want to come in and pick up the Blue Books and people want to highlight those, and I don't know, do you think because there are going to be some people who don't have computer access, and I want to make sure that they're included as well. So giving them the ability to maybe pick up a book and circle or highlight. I mean, I think that's tedious on staff, but I think we've got to be able to give people the opportunity who may not have access to a computer, that they want to provide feedback as well. So at least they can come in and pick up a Blue Book.
All right, so are you thinking of putting the book out for change in a Word format?
Yes, we can, it's already online.
But it's
In
in
a-
PDF, I assume. It's not.
Yeah, no, I don't
Yeah,
want
it's in a
people to be able to type in it. I don't want that. So I'm fine with it being out as a PDF and someone submitting something typed saying, please accept this.
Yep.
Page
so-
9, paragraph 3.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, and then for those that don't have the computer access, at least that way they can pick up a Blue Book. I just want to try to make sure that we have everything covered in terms of giving people that ability.
And I think part of the problem too is when you have it printed this way. So when you're talking about the Porter Square cap or the Kendall Square cap, the places that are listed, some don't exist anymore. So when you're trying to reference it, it's,
Right.
which spot are we talking about?
And I also think the page numbers in the Blue Book don't even correspond with what's online, which also makes it confusing, I think, for people.
Yeah,
In terms
because
of-
once you PDF it, it
Right.
changed the whole layout.
So then when we
So I'll
do
check and see how
we
many
do
we
the
have.
rewrite, can we try to get it formatted so that when it gets PDF, knowing how it's gonna get PDF, that the pages line up for the future? I don't know if
It's
that's
an IT
possible.
question, but I will check and see.
So if you look online, page 9 would be
Right.
page 9 of the book, so to speak.
I don't know if we can do that.
Okay.
I would like to think that there is a way to do it, but I'll leave that to IT to figure out, certainly not mine.
I'm still on my last, I need help with something else.
So can both match on one version. So we can't come up with a date and time because we don't have the commissioner here. So I guess we can email, and try to come up with some possibles. It would obviously be sometime in February because we're not going to have time in January to get it on.
And plus, we need time to actually look at it.
Do the work,
Determine
yeah.
the extent, exactly.
Well, I mean, to me, that first meeting can just be, do we want to decide to do this? And again, what the process may or may not look like. And
Right.
so, I mean, we can aim for sometime in February. I know that there's a school vacation break in there, so that's going to be a week that we lose as well. So. And I think whatever, I mean, I'm not saying that this has to be done within 30 days or 60 days. I'm fine with letting the process play out, however long it takes that we come up with a good product.
I can tell you the last time when we only did one amendment, it took us a year.
Okay, I didn't really have that long of a time frame in mind, but
It just, there was so much back and forth. And then when we, prior to that, redoing the whole book, took longer than a year. It was just, there was so much revision that needed to be done. It was so antiquated.
I mean, again, I've been here as long as everybody else, but I already have lots of tabs and crossouts and questions, et cetera. So, I mean, I think it will be a little while to be able to go through it, but I do want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to be heard on it, so.
And understanding that anything we do has to be totally in accordance with ABCC guidelines
Right.
and Chapter 138. And 140 is pertains to entertainment.
Right.
I would think the best way to go is at the next meeting to decide whether we move forward or not. That's when discussion on the process and the format would be, should be discussed.
All right, so we'll schedule that as a special hearing. Because I don't want to do it during one of our general hearings, because I don't think that works for current licensees that for a 6 o'clock hearing, they're going to worrying about dinner service. And I
My
do want to
memory
give,
is that's what we did the last
and
time.
I want to give them the opportunity to kind of chime in and say yes or no. Is there, I mean, I recognize you guys have hefty schedules. Is there a time of day that works better? Is morning better for you? Is afternoon better for you? It varies.
Middle of the
All right.
night's better for you.
Right, 3 in the morning.
Um,
So we just said like a few options.
If it's something like this, it would probably likely either be a 10 or a 2 is probably with enough room on either end. Then I could bump up against something else. Tuesdays and Thursdays are generally,
I was gonna say, is there a day of the week that's better?
Tuesdays and Thursdays are probably the worst, but this week I've been booked since Monday.
Okay. So we'll send out some options and see what works
Send
for the
options.
three of us then. All right, and then you and I will look and try to find the boxes of blue books.
They're
Are they in the storage room? Okay. So we'll start at least putting those out front. That's it for me. I don't have anything else. wondering why we chose to do it this way, we can't sit down and even have a conversation with each other unless we do it in front of everybody, which is fine. So that it was just important to kind of sit